it's the top of the hour, and I want to welcome everyone to Pit Stop. It's your fortnightly midweek rest area to refuel your drive. I'm Karen Commins. I'm an audiobook narrator, and I'm chief cartographer for narratorsroadmap.com, and I'm your host for Pit Stop. And with me in the co-pilot seat is my lovely friend and award-winning audiobook narrator, Anne Flosnik, who hosts the Narrator Uplift show here on Clubhouse. How are you this afternoon, Anne?
Great. Happy to be here.
I don't think that was you. I think that must have been one of Joe's dogs.
Yes, I have 3 dogs in here right now, and
They want their airtime too.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and kick them out.
Oh gosh, that was lovely.
Well, every other Wednesday, audiobook narrators who have vocations beyond narration pull into Pit Stop, and they're sure to inspire you to follow your interests and use all of your talents and gifts. I want to let you know this conversation is being recorded, so you'll be able to re-listen or catch parts you missed. Feel free to comment in the chat and raise your hand in the app if you want to be part of the conversation, because we would love to hear from you. So thanks so much to everybody for joining us. Today, I am so thrilled to welcome Joe Hempel to Pit Stop. For over a decade prior to beginning work in audiobooks, Joe honed his acting skills as a referee in professional wrestling, and he inspired people as a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer and endurance coach. He's best known for his captivating, rich narrations and uncanny ability for pulling listeners into an immersive experience. And Joe has entertained listeners with over 500 audiobooks. He currently lives in Houston with his wife, Maria, and their 3 dogs. He is the 2018 Independent Audiobook Award Winner for Best Horror, the 2021 Independent Audiobook Award Winner for Best Horror as a publisher, and along with many extremely talented co-narrators, Joe was the 2022 SOVAS Award Winner for Best Narration in Short Story Anthology. So welcome to Pit Stop, Joe. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to do this.
So you have such an interesting background. I saw on your LinkedIn that when you were in college, you were studying audio and video technologies. So what were you dreaming of doing at that point?
I forgot I even had a LinkedIn, first of all. Yeah, I wanted to work in television. I wanted to make movies and work in television behind the scenes and things like that. So that is what I went to school for.
Did you do work in television, or?
I worked at a television station as an engineer, which kind of wasn't the direction that I was wanting that to go, but ended up working out for the best. I ended up staying there for 15 years, and before I made the jump to full-time audiobook narration.
Well, somewhere in between there, though, and we said this in the introduction about you being a referee for professional wrestling. How did that come about?
I wanted to do sports productions, and there was a local professional wrestling organization in Cincinnati called the Heartland Wrestling Association. They were apparently, I didn't know this at the time, but when I got there, they were a development territory for World Championship Wrestling, which was then, during my time there, purchased by World Wrestling Federation, now WWE. And so I got there and worked in production, and originally, training in the ring became a way to lose weight. And, the exercise was great. It was vigorous. It was fun, a lot of camaraderie. And so that transitioned to me doing refereeing, training as a wrestler under a mask sometimes, and working with wrestlers on promos, things like that. I just got heavily involved in the business. And oddly enough, the guy who used to own it, Les Thatcher, just showed up in the book I'm narrating right now, which is a biography about Ric Flair. And he's been mentioned a couple times in the book. So it's really neat when kind of the work and the passion meet in fun ways.
kind of full circle.
Yeah.
Well, I was curious about the point that you said you honed your acting ability as a referee. So are you saying that's not real, that what we see?
It's all predetermined. All of the stuff in the ring is highly athletic, and it is it hurts. Like you get used to it, but it hurts. Um, the outcomes are predetermined. The matches are scripted, but everything you see hurts.
I imagine it does.
The worst of all
Regardless,
worlds.
yeah, regardless of if somebody's letting you pick them up and throw them to the ground, you're still getting picked up and thrown to the ground.
Right.
I don't think
So
that's a job I'd want to sign up for.
Sounds like the worst of all worlds.
yeah, it's very, very, very physical, and I have so much respect for the people that do this day in and day out and have done it for 30 years.
Well, were you refereeing at the same time that you were also doing the personal training?
Yes, I was doing that, the personal training, working in television at the television station. So yeah, I was doing all of that.
So you've always been somebody who doesn't really like having any spare time.
No, I fill up my spare time with things I enjoy doing. So, working for the professional wrestling organization, that wasn't work to me. That was fun, and it actually built a lot of friendships and actually had kind of shaped me into who I am.
Well, so
So I owe a lot to it.
how did you move from those fields into audiobook narration?
So about 2010, the Heartland Wrestling Association kind of folded a little bit. They folded, changed names, things like that. Just that industry was changing. And so that's about the time I got actually today is the anniversary where I just happened to see it on Facebook where I got my certification as a personal trainer 9 years ago. So I kind of went from that to the personal training. And then I found audiobook narration because I worked third shift at a TV station. So I just read a lot. And I ended up starting a review blog, as you do. And somebody said something to me about, because I didn't, there was an audiobook I really didn't like that much. And so I didn't review it in the most positive light. And they said, if you think you can do this so much better, why don't you go out and do it? So I did.
Challenge issued and accepted.
Yes. So that was 8 years ago.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow, look how much you've accomplished in such a short period of time.
I tell you, I never thought it would be a career, but it's here.
Well, I remember when I first knew of you, you were talking about working that job in TV and doing narration, and you've talked about it since, about how you went without sleep, or so it seems. I mean, or you would get very little sleep because you were doing both things and you were committed to both things and determined to be a success and totally move into narration. So maybe
Yes.
you could expand on that a little more. I don't remember all the details, but I remember it's very inspiring.
So I worked at the television station. I've always been a night person, first of all. So working midnight to 8 a.m. didn't bother me. That was when I worked at the television station. So I had a lot of time on my hands. I used my my degree to kind of do like editing and mastering and stuff like that for myself and other audiobook narrators during that time. And I would go home, I would sleep for, a few hours. I would go pick up my son from school and just repeat. And I was working 7 days a week. Just, I was determined to get out of television because the pay was really kind of garbage. And There was one year I was only working in television, and it was myself, my girlfriend at the time, and her 2 kids. We were living together, and we were at the dollar store for Christmas. There was just not enough money, and so I was absolutely determined to do something different. And so when I found that audiobooks was kind of a natural fit, I went 150 miles an hour, and I took all the royalty share I could, and I recorded as much as I could every single day for like 2 years. And it worked. And so, like 2.5 years after I started, I was able to quit my job and go full force into audiobooks.
Wow.
But I was absolutely determined to not have to walk into the dollar store and buy, fake Hulk Hogan action figures for Christmas.
That's so impressive. And I know it made you feel like just a totally different person.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it was one of the things that, I know people give ACX a lot of crap for things, and, but it's one of the things I will be forever grateful for ACX, because that's how I got my start, and that's where I learned the business. And I still get, I still do royalty share to this day. It's part of my business plan. So, so you won't hear me talk a whole lot about bad about them a whole lot, because they literally changed my life.
Yeah, I remember you wore ACX socks to your wedding.
I did. I did. ACX sends me like these little gifts every year. Be it like hot chocolate, or I still have like this really nice blanket that they sent me. And then one year they sent me a pair of socks, and I'm like, oh, I'm wearing these to my wedding, because audiobooks
Bought it.
got me my wife.
Wow. That takes a romance story to a whole nother level.
But
Yeah.
also the book that actually got it done, it was called Does It Fart?
And
So,
Maria, your wife, heard this and heard you and said, "That's my man."
so we were friends on social media before that book. And I had advertised the book that it was coming out, and we had communicated a little bit beforehand, and things were kind of a little flirty online, before that. But that book, she wanted a copy of that book, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can get you a copy of it. Hachette is the one that published it, but I was like, I'll buy you a copy. So I buy the copy to send as a gift, and I'm trying to send it to her through Messenger on Facebook, and it won't let me. And I'm like, hey, I hate to do this, but I can't send it like this. What's your phone number?
Now there's a pickup line if ever I heard one.
And she was just, hey, this is a pretty sneaky way to get my number, Mr. Hempel. And I'm like, yeah, but if you want the book. And then from there we just started talking every single day, and next thing you know, I moved to Houston and we get married.
Wow.
I love that story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just grinning ear to ear hearing it because I didn't know the details there, and I love it. Does she help you with your work? Because this is a big part of what I want to talk to you about, is because you're not just narrating, you're now publishing, and
Yep.
and I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, but does she help you with that, or do you have other
No.
people help?
No. I don't. I originally, there's a void in the horror genre and for audiobooks, and that's what I wanted to fill.
Hmm.
I feel like it's a ground, like it's just starting to take off, and there is a big ground level push for horror audio. And it doesn't get a lot of respect in the industry from Amazon. They're starting to come around. It gets zero respect in award season. Um, the Audies don't have horror. SOVAS don't have horror. Independent audiobooks were one of the only bigger awards that actually had horror as a category. Um,
I didn't
so
realize that. I didn't realize that
No.
the awards were overlooking it.
yes, it's buried like 3 levels down on Amazon as a genre. So I want to flood the market with horror and create as much as I can, and just make it to where it's inevitable.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I know that you started Fireside Horror in 2020, but then Pink
Mhm.
Flamingo absorbed it in 2022, and you were executive producer. Are you still involved with this now Fireside Audio? Are you still involved with that?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I broke away from that. I just wasn't able to do the amount of work that I wanted to be able to do for the horror community. There was a lot of restrictions from the union, and just a lot of restrictions to push what I wanted to push. Um, and so after about, I want to say 2 years, 2.5 years, I figured that it was time for me to kind of break away from that. My sense of procedure and policy and things like that, for me, and this isn't to say anything bad about them, it didn't fit with their infrastructure. Um, and it's not that they have a bad infrastructure. It's just I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Like it was more on my end. Like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Where's this? Where's this? Because they have 3 divisions. Pink Flamingo's taken the world by storm.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and they're continuing to grow. So, you know, coordinating with all the proofers and the editors and, getting things out, it was like, okay, if we get 2 books this month, it can probably be scheduled to edit in 3 months. And I'm just like, no, we can't do it this way. I can't do it this way. And horror isn't built for that.
Joe, can I stop you right there and just ask you, can you define for us what horror is?
Oh,
Because I imagine too that many of your books you could put them into awards under another category.
you
So
can,
yeah, that's why
but
I'm asking you to define it for us what it is. What is it that separates horror out and why it's kind of a stepchild?
so horror means many things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, horror is there to invoke some sort of visceral feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have a book like, say, um, let's see, what one I just did recently called, a couple years ago, called The Adirondack Witch. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a ghost story. It's kind of a, mystery kind of thing, but it doesn't really fit or go up against like a Joe Ledger thriller, or um, or maybe like even like a oh, what's her name, Tammy Hogue or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really fit in that sort of thing, and those all kind of get lumped together. So there are terrifying things about those books,
Mm-hmm.
but that's only part of the overall story.
Yeah.
Um, so I think for me, horror is going to invoke a visceral feeling of disgust, of it's going to tries to scare you,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's that sense of the unknown, or the monster hiding under the bed, or the thing you can't see out in the woods, or being caught in a madman's labyrinth of traps, things like that.
But it could still really go under some other bigger umbrella genre to enter for awards and things. Yes?
Yes,
Yes.
it can go under that. Yes, they never get looked at though. They
Oh.
never get looked at. The only horror book you will see in awards is written by Stephen King or Dean Koontz. So you will never see independent awards get nominated or looked at or anything like that. It's been like that for as long as I've been in the industry, which I know isn't a crazy long time.
And that's so strange to me because of Frankenstein and think, classics, absolute standout literary classics are horror.
Yes.
But they'd probably enter those under classics.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, those would be considered classics.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those get entered under different things, and it's more today's. I think it's more of a today's problem than it is anything else. And horror does not make the money something like romance does. It's still considered a niche audience. So I think that might factor a little bit into it, but I think the visibility of it by being in these awards can help
Yes.
that a lot.
Yeah. Fantasy is
Now,
very niche kind of thing, or it started out like that, but now it's huge. So you're going to make horror huge too.
that's the goal. That's the
Yes.
goal.
Yes.
That's the goal.
I see it. I see the vision.
So, and I will tell you, from the amount of auditions that I get for the stuff that I've been posting, people want to narrate horror. Like there is
Yeah.
a need and a want for this.
Yeah.
And the level of auditions that I have gotten have blown me away because I'm a royalty share only shop right now. But I will say I only have like 3 titles to go off of that have been released in the past 3 weeks. But I will say, and these are like 2.5 hour titles, hour and a half titles. So books that aren't really primed to sell a whole lot. They've each sold over 100 copies in like 2-3 weeks. So
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah.
it's, for those 3, that's pretty good. And we have what's considered some of the best horror of the year coming out within the next, well, one just dropped today. The other one should drop September 1st. So I'm really excited to see where all of this goes. And, I kept some titles with the merger for Fireside, like when I merged with Pink Flamingo. And some of those still do incredibly well years later in royalties. So people are buying.
Well, and you have a couple some narrators in the chat who are fans. EJ Lavery says she is so here for that horror takeover, and Barbara Hensley loves horror to narrate and to listen personally. But you were talking about your auditions, and you've recently started Fright Night Audio, and
Yes.
I think one thing that lures people to want to do it is you describe it as it will bring you a new level of terror to your ears. It will haunt your effing dreams. It's like, okay, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. You
I mean,
got
with
to
a
throw
lead
out
up
some
like
buzzwords.
that, everybody's like, of course I want to read that.
Yeah, you got to get some buzzwords and things like that. You know, we've partnered with Darklit Press, who is another up and coming book publisher, and they have such an amazing strategy to get not only the audiobooks and books that they published on Amazon and stuff like that, but to get all of that into stores. So Barnes and Noble made it a lot harder recently, but they're still working on that. So we're hoping that we can get audiobooks in stores. We're hoping we can get the ebooks in stores, and we are now the exclusive audio publisher for Darklit Press.
Or as you described it, the unholy alliance, a match made in hell.
That is that is all Andrew Roberts from Darklit Press. He put
Love
all of that together. God love him. He's a great guy, and he busts his butt to get to take care of his authors.
Yeah, I
He
read
has
through
such
that
a great
description, and
plan.
I mean, I've never actually read a horror book, I don't think, but I was reading that, it's like, maybe I should check into this. I mean, it was just, because it just makes your mind light up with the imagery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's, if you can lose yourself into a horror book, all the better. All the better. The things that go bump in the night, you start hearing them while you're sitting there listening. So,
And I love that you're posting auditions on the site, and then you've been announcing the casting on Facebook. So those are brilliant ways to get even more visibility of people coming to you. And of course, joining us on Pit Stop, I'm sure some more people will be coming to you.
the more we get, the more opportunities for auditions that we have. Um, it's been really great, and it's been really wonderful to see all the narrators that are auditioning or getting the books or things like that. They comment on everybody's posts and share and everything, and it really feels like a really great sense of community for when these books are going to release and come out. And everybody is lifting everybody, and that's so wonderful to see.
Well, and it seems a bit rare. I was thinking, people comment on narrators' new releases. We all do that, but being moved to actually share it is the next step that I think a lot of people don't take usually. So that does seem like something different happening with you.
It does, and I don't know what it is, but I love it, and I really would like to get a nice sense of community with Fright Night. I don't know. Um, Somebody told me this not too long ago. It was during a coaching session. We were going over one of the books, and apparently there's a group of narrators that they all audition for titles, and they bounce their auditions off of each other, and they talk about different things. And so they go in and they like practice their auditions together, and it's like that almost brought a tear to my eye. I'm like, that's so great. I
Well, it
love
is.
hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the community, and then the impact, and then knowing that that's kind of reverberating out into the world, and totally building up what you're trying to do. I'm wondering, how do you split your time between narrating and running Fright Night?
There really is no split. I'm basically, I did take a little bit of time off from acquisitions and things like that because we've got like 30 books coming out, like right out of the gate.
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Like I've got, I think one came out today, the one came out a few days ago, and then we had the 3 short titles. But I have in the queue ready to go another 2 titles, and then like another 3 are almost done. Um, and then yeah, we're October is going to be a big month for us, I think,
Right.
because we have a lot of stuff coming towards the end of September. So, and it's so good. All of the narrators that are showing up for these titles are so good, and I really hope that we can push these out, get people to buy, so that the narrators and authors can make some money, and we can prove that the horror genre is viable.
Are the narrators producing raw files for you or retail ready?
Retail ready, retail ready, and there are some exceptions. Like if somebody's doing, because I've got one narrator who is doing like 4 books for me, and I'm like, hey, just, I'll take care of your post. You're already taking big chances on this. Or there was a book that was like 18 and a half hours long. And I told him, hey, this is a really big risk for royalty share. I'll take care of the post-production for that. So we'll, you don't have to worry about that, because I know the risk in royalty share. I still do it.
Right. And beyond 6 to 8 hours, it's a huge risk.
Right.
Or it can be, we should say.
It can be. Yeah.
You have to pick, as we all know, you have to pick your books wisely.
Yeah, you do. And then sometimes there are ones that you do for fun that you don't think is going to make any money, and they get an Audible daily deal. So
Oh, you had one recently, didn't you?
I had two. Yeah,
Oh
I've
my
had two.
gosh.
They were one of them was already doing well. The one that just came out recently, The Cursed Among Us, that one was doing really well already. And then there was another one that sold maybe, I don't know, 40 copies. That was done last August, and in February it got a daily deal.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, those will bring in my experience, a few thousand in one day.
Yeah, because you'll sell 2,000 to 3,000 copies probably on that day of the daily deal, or at least that's what I've
Yes.
seen other people sharing. That seems
Yes.
to be an average number.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, if you've got some of that magic pixie dust that makes Audible choose a book for a daily deal, I hope you'll send some my way.
I have no idea how this happened. Yeah, I have no idea. I want to say it's, they pull a book out of a hat, but I
They
have
might.
no idea. So
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to them.
yeah. I think I've seen, don't quote me on this, but when a book is deemed approved on ACX and they put that generic cover on it.
Yeah.
I want to say one of those got a daily deal a couple years ago.
What?
Like, so that's why I'm like, oh, this is totally random. But yeah, royalty share is a risk. It's one I gladly take. But it's not something like, don't expect to earn your PFH back within the first year. Like, don't think you failed at royalty share if it doesn't make it back in the first year. Remember, they're 7-year contracts.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a while. Rebecca Stern had commented in the chat when you were talking about the narrators doing auditions together. She said, that might be my little peer group you're talking about. And Lori
Yes, it is.
Fiella, I probably said your name wrong. She says your auditions have been fun.
Well, thank you. I'm glad the auditions are good. I'm glad their auditions are resonating. And Rebecca, it absolutely is, because you are actually who we talked about during the competition. So
So many things just coming full circle and dovetailing with each other.
it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful.
Well, so what? I know you want her to take over. I mean, do you have a game plan? Do you have a 5-year plan or something of what you want to see happen?
I am a completely fly by the seat of your pants person. In the words of I take the Kevin Pierce the Kevin Pierce model. I did it when I started audiobooks and narration, and I'm doing it now. I will either succeed, or the fireball from the explosive failure will be able to be seen from space.
Well, it
So I
certainly
don't do it.
doesn't seem like it's going in that direction.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know. Let's see. What? I guess I can say this now because it's towards the end of August. We're going to be in Publishers Weekly next month, or Publishers Month, Publishers Magazine, or whatever it is.
Congratulations.
That's
So
exciting.
Yes, it's
yeah, me and Andrew from Darklit Press, we we got together, and he has some stuff there, and we did an interview with them, and we should be in the print magazine in September.
Well, I will
So
look for that. That is exciting news.
yes, this is kind of the announcement of it. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say anything yet, but we're heading in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah. Does social media, you said already kind of, I think, Joe, that social media doesn't play a great part in this. It's the quality of the book. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the quality of the book. It's the quality of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Not only from the narration standpoint, but from a writing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even really, when I look for books to try to put in audio, I don't even really look at Amazon rankings or anything like that anymore. I look at, and this is how social media plays a part, like for authors and stuff, and readers. I pay attention to what the readers are talking about. And if there's a lot of buzz for something, I pick it up. Or if there are authors who are doing really well that pick up a book and say, "Oh wow, guys, you don't want to miss this book," I reach out.
Are you mainly using Facebook for that kind of research? Because you said earlier you've left Twitter and you've left TikTok. So where are you watching or learning what the readers are saying?
Mainly it's select groups on Facebook. Twitter, I don't go onto at all. TikTok, I feel like Book Talk has become extremely toxic, and so I actually don't, I don't pay much attention to that, because if something has gone viral on TikTok, I'll hear about it on Facebook. But I do pay attention to what the readers are saying about certain books. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. I also go to conventions. I was just up at, the week that we launched it, I was up at the Texas Author Con, and I think I signed 5 authors from there, if not more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Made a lot of, and just, you make a lot of connections that way. One of them, which is already out, was one of those, he wasn't sure if he wanted to do something with audio, and then we got drunk and we signed our names on a napkin, and it's out.
We're going to pull that out as the sound clip for this.
It's a fantastic, it's called 100% Match. It's like an hour and 15 minutes long. It is gross, but very, very funny. So,
I keep a calendar for members on Narrator's Roadmap of all these events, and I saw today that StokerCon is going to San Diego next year. So it's at the end of May, 1st of June. Or have you already signed up for that?
StokerCon is going there? Interesting.
Yeah.
I have not heard that. The next big thing that's happening is Scares That Care AuthorCon. They sold their tables out in 4 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll make it out there, but they sold their table out in 4 minutes. So people are absolutely
pretty
coming
popular
to horror conventions and just selling it out. I mean, there's a reason it sells out so fast. Horror authors have almost become like the punk celebrities.
I can see it.
Do they wear the same type of clothes, like the leather jackets? And I mean, I don't know, just envision them, come in, I'm here, leather jacket, sunglasses, and
yeah, they do. They absolutely do. They wear whatever they want. They're not trying to impress anybody. This is they are unapologetically who they are. And that's one of the great things about it is regular standards and practices, and going the way that everybody should go. It's like bucking up against the system. It's like, we're here, we're loud, and we're coming. Like we're invading your libraries, so to speak.
Do you get a good reaction from authors when you start talking to them about putting their work in audio?
Generally, yes. There are some that are like, we're an up-and-coming genre. Are you just trying to take my money? Which is a valid response, because there are so many publishing companies that come up and then go away, within the span of 6 months. But once they hear my passion, they're generally right on board. And it helps that almost everybody in the horror genre knows who I am. So, there was a woman, Candace Nola, at the Texas AuthorCon. I was talking to her about audiobooks, and she took my card, and she was kind of not listening. And then she looked down. She was like, Joe, oh, you're Joe. I know. Oh my God, no, I know you. You just did my friend. Okay, And then once they catch on, they're like, yes, no, whatever it is, the answer is yes.
Fabulous.
So it really works in my favor, and I have worked extremely hard over the past 5-6 years to make that name reputable.
Yeah, and to have name recognition and to have your reputation walking in the room ahead of you, I mean, that's huge.
Yes.
And so
And
were
this,
you choosing, I guess you were choosing more horror books to narrate. I mean, I know you narrate other things, but you were choosing more horror deliberately to build that reputation.
it's kind of interesting. There is a time where I was still considered kind of the voice of horror, but I hadn't done a horror book in like 4 months. And all of a sudden, I did a book called Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. And once that book hit, everybody started going back and looking at my catalog. And then I got another one of his. I'm becoming his narrator. Anytime a publisher gets a book, he's like, I want Joe to do it. And because of that, over the past 2 years, what I have been trying to build for was starting to come to fruition, because people started seeing my name. People were talking about the audiobook, and publishers started to they started to take notice of some of the bigger independent horror titles. Like, oh, he's doing all of them. And so they started buying things up. There's a press called Wicked House Press, or Wicked House Publishing, who is run by a friend of mine. And all of his books are now being bought up by publishers, and he's getting really good advances. And he's actually gone so far as to ask that I not do all of his books, because he doesn't want me to narrate all the horror, which is absolutely fine. I did one for Podium, and he's like, I don't want you to do this book, is called Puzzle House. I'm going to let them pick, but I don't want you to reach out to them for it. I'm like, that's fine. I was like, I'm not going to reach out, but there is a very good chance they're going to contact me for this book. You know that, right? He's like, yes, I know. They reached out to me for the book. So I did the book. Tantor reached out to me for the next one, and I turned it down out of respect for him.
Wow.
Well,
But
that
I'm
was
like,
nice to share the toys with somebody else.
yeah, no, it's, we're all in this together. And the guy who owns Wicked House Publishing he's a friend of mine. And we kind of kind of grew up together, not in real life, but in publishing. He was starting his job he was starting, work as an author as I was kind of just starting my trajectory for audiobooks. And so we were kind of figuring out all this stuff together. And now every time he publishes a book, it hits a #1 bestseller. And I'm so thankful he's throwing some my way for Fright Night to publish. So, um,
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful collaboration.
it is. And I have collaborations with several different publishers. The biggest one being Darklit Press, because we're trying to broaden our reach. But as far as circling back to your 5-year plan, I don't have a 5-year plan. It's just, it will change by the week. Eventually, I would like to just be somebody who does outreach and let somebody else handle all of the accounting, all of the, coordination, all of the scheduling and promo, and, do all of that. But as of right now, it's me, and I do enjoy it. But 5 years down the line, I'd like to just pay somebody to handle all that.
Well, and there are only so many hours in the day, and so there's only so much that any one person can actually do.
For sure. It takes a lot less time than people think when you're actually focused and working. Like if I'm doing something, I get hyper focused and I will knock out a whole bunch of stuff and only 2 hours will pass. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, the hyper focus like that, where the world just kind of goes away.
You're going to have people saying, "Can I outsource some stuff to you?"
So, but I do it as time allows. I will be in the booth for 2 hours. I'll get an hour and a half of audio done during those 2 hours. I'll come out, put the laptop in the living room or on the kitchen table, do some Fright Night stuff, and then a few hours later, I'll go back in the booth for another couple hours, get another hour done, and then later that night, go back in the booth. So I'm always working, and I'm okay with that. It's not for everybody.
Well, and we are coming up on the top of the hour, and I cannot let you get away without asking you a pit stop hot seat question.
Uh-oh.
And so the one I have for you today is, if you could be the ruler for a day, what would your first decree be?
Oh, wow. That feels like a loaded question.
You have the power, Joe.
I have the power to do anything I want.
Yeah. So what's your first decree?
Everybody gets a base salary so they can follow their passion and not have to worry about whether or not they have to eat.
Oh, that's a fabulous decree. We might have to install you as ruler.
Yes. Yes. Nobody should have to suffer just for existing. So.
And Rebecca Stern had written in the chat that a few minutes ago that the author for the book she's doing collects venomous pets. So that actually makes me want to ask you another pit stop hot seat question. This is a first. I usually only ask one, but I want to know, since horror always involves strange circumstances, what is your strangest possession?
There's nobody that's in within the realms of legal here, is it? No, I'm kidding. My strangest possession?
Your strangest possession.
I don't know that I would call anything I have strange. I have a scare bear.
Oh.
What is that?
Is there? I can't post a picture in this chat, can I? No.
You could post a link to it.
I'll post it if you're If you are not a member of the Legion of Hempel Facebook group, join that group and I'll approve it and I'll post a picture of it in that Facebook group.
Okay.
It's basically a gunned teddy bear who has ripped his face off.
Oh, that sounds scary in more ways than one.
He is sitting in the corner of my bookshelf, currently holding a audiobook called Ghostland that I narrated. I got a physical copy sent to me from Tantor, and myself and the author Duncan Ralston have it signed. It's the only audiobook I have that's actually signed by the author and myself, and we haven't decided what we're going to do for a giveaway, but we're going to end up giving that away.
Well, that sounds pretty neat. And I'm assuming this bear came this way. This is not something that your dogs attacked and tore its face off.
No, it is a piece of art that I bought probably 6-7 years ago. I bought it at a horror convention. I can't remember the guy's name. I don't think he's in business anymore, unfortunately. His social media has been. I looked it up not too long ago, oddly enough, and I can't really find much on his on social media anymore. So I don't know if he's doing it anymore. But yes, that is probably the strangest thing that I own that I can think of off the top of my head.
And do you have advice that you can share with other people who want to expand their horizon beyond narration? You know, to do more than just narrate the books, to do some other thing as well.
Find something that's missing in the genre that you are passionate about, or in the industry that you are passionate about, and attack it like that portion will go away tomorrow if you don't act. That way, not only do you get the sense that you're doing something good for the industry, you will not be putting all your eggs in one basket.
That sounds like really good advice.
So, and don't do it how I do it. Don't do it how I do it, because I tell you, as much fun as I have, it's exhausting.
You mean the all work all the time approach?
Yeah, but it's a lot of it's play for me. You know, I am the definition of work hard, play hard. So when I go to these conventions, when I go to APAC, when I go to the author conventions, things like that, I am legitimately up until 4 a.m. Because that's my style, that's my personality. I'm the first to arrive, the last to leave, and I just try to have fun. And I think the more your personality shows and the more real you are, the better it is. And that's the other thing I'll say, don't force it. Because if you force it and you try to be somebody you're not, or who you think they want to see or want to be, people see it a mile away and it just looks really fake and they lose trust. So be 100% authentic. And if you're an introvert, it can suck. This industry turned me into an extrovert. It really did. Like in an industry where everybody says they're introverts, this thing turned me into an extrovert. And now I will talk to anybody, any place, anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Including here with us today.
Yeah, I said I was going to ramble, and I mean 100% of that.
I didn't think you were rambling at all. Do you have anything you want to plug or any final words? And also, how can people contact you?
Okay, so my website is broken and it doesn't work, and I have no idea when I'm going to get that fixed. So, if you want to contact me, my email is joehempel@voiceofjoey.com. If you want to audition for anything for Fright Night, auditions, we only have 2 auditions posted right now. I expect there to be more in the next month, but we're gearing up for a lot of releases, so we want to make sure those authors are taken care of and not forgotten. So we want to make sure, that's one of the things that we want to do is we want to make sure that when release time comes, the authors and narrators don't feel like they're neglected. So go to frightnightaudio.com and you'll see auditions there, and you can fill out the contact form there. Also, I am on Facebook. I don't post a ton. I've turned into more of a lurker. And unless it's about dogs or, cool stuff like mentioning my friend in the Ric Flair book. And if you are interested at all in coaching for the thriller and horror genre, I have a Calendly link, but I think it's too long to say in audio, like on Clubhouse. So just email me and I'll send you a link to book a session. It's $75 for like 45 minutes, and then we usually go on, longer than that because we all like to talk about this stuff. So,
Well, and we have really enjoyed talking with you today, but we're coming up on the top of the hour, so I think it's time for everybody to get back on the road. So I'm going to conclude today's pit stop. I'll remind everybody the recording is going to be available on Clubhouse later today, and in the near future, I'll post it with a transcript and links on narratorsroadmap.com. And Pit Stop is also, yay, available on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple and Audible. And who's coming up tomorrow on Narrator Uplift?
Marnie Young, the audiobook sorceress.
Well, that will be a good chat at 2 p.m. on Clubhouse tomorrow. And I hope all of you will take another road trip with us on September 27th, when we'll talk with audiobook narrator and TV scriptwriter Georgina Marie. In the meantime, I hope you find joy in every journey and live the life of your dreams. Thanks again, Joe, for this fantastic conversation. It's really been a delight talking with you.
I had so much fun.
And thanks to Anne Flosnik for your great questions and support, as always. And thanks to you and the audience for spending time with us today. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon.